This is an AI-generated podcast based on the article Committed to the Source: How Precious Eboh Builds Businesses That Answer to God, written by Apryl. The article link is in the show notes. Welcome to Kingdom Factor Collective. I'm your host, Apryl, and today I'm sitting down with Precious Eboh, co-founder and chief partnership officer of Efiwe, AI filmmaker, and EdTech Academy founder. Precious, welcome to the show. Thank you so much, Apryl. I'm really glad to be here. So I want to start right at the beginning because your story has this detail that I just couldn't stop thinking about. You started your second business because God told you to, like not because you spotted a market gap, not because an investor tapped you on the shoulder. Can you take us into that moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it really was a prompting, a clear sense of divine instruction to start Design Pub, which was an academy training people in creative skills, writing, and tech. And here's what's important. I was new to the field. I didn't have all the answers, but I felt that pull so clearly that I just moved anyway. And that's really the foundation of how I approach everything. Before you start any business, you have to put God at the center because He is your source. If you are cut off from your source, you literally cannot do anything.
That's interesting because a lot of people talk about faith in business in this kind of general way. Like, I try to be ethical or I give back. But what you're describing is almost structural, like God isn't a value you add on top, He's the actual foundation. Where did that come from for you?
It goes all the way back to how I was raised. I grew up in a devout Catholic home in Nigeria, and faith wasn't a Sunday ritual, it was just the texture of daily life. My father had this phrase he came back to constantly: a good name is better than riches. And he paired it with a very firm conviction: tell the truth, even when it costs you. And my mother, that woman, prays a lot. Her prayer life was so consistent and so deep that she is genuinely my role model in that area to this day. Those roots, they didn't stay in childhood, they grew with me.
I love that, and I understand that foundation shows up practically every single morning for you. Can you unpack that?
Yes. So my husband and I, every morning before the workday begins, we join NSPPD. It's an online prayer fellowship from 7 to 9 a.m. And it's not about discipline for the sake of discipline. It's the practical expression of a conviction I carried since I was young. That connection to God is not optional. It is the source of everything else.
2 hours every morning. That says something about what you actually believe, right? It's not just a posture. Okay, so let's talk about Design Pub, because you ran that academy for over 2 years and you placed every single cohort into internships. That's remarkable. But you also hit a wall with the placement problem. What happened there and how did you work through it?
Right. So the driving concern for me was never profit. It was access. I wanted to make quality creative and technical training so affordable that financial constraints couldn't keep someone on the sideline. And we did successfully place every cohort, but finding those internship spots remained a persistent obstacle. It never fully resolved. And I had to step back and wrestle with it honestly. What I landed on is this: skills training has to lead to self-sufficiency, not just employability. Not everyone is called to be a business owner, I know that, but for those who are and for those who aren't, you need a starting point. And those struggles didn't derail me. They actually qualified me for what came next.
Which is Efiwe, and I want to get into this because the problem you're solving is really specific. Tell me about it.
So Efiwe is a free mobile-first learning platform. And the core insight is that in many parts of the developing world, people don't have laptops or reliable internet access, but nearly everyone has a smartphone. So we meet them there. The platform uses AI to deliver daily learning challenges in coding across different programming languages, and it gives real-time feedback as learners progress. Essentially, it functions as a personal tutor available around the clock. And think about what that means for a young person in Nigeria who might otherwise spend those hours scrolling social media. We're offering something different, a daily investment in a skill set that could genuinely change the trajectory of their life.
There's a real urgency in how you talk about this. It doesn't sound abstract at all.
Because it isn't abstract. There are lots of distractions and time passes very fast. If you do not take precaution, you could close your eyes, wake up, and be 30 without a skill set. Start while you have the opportunity. That urgency is born from watching people I care about navigate a marketplace that doesn't make room for them and deciding to build the room myself. That's a powerful way to put it.
Now I want to ask you about something that really stopped me when I read about you. You said your goal is to go to heaven, and that goal shapes every business decision you make. Can you unpack that? Because on the surface, it might sound like, okay, that's a personal belief, but you've made it into an actual filter.
Completely. I see a lot of people just live their lives as if there is no heaven or hell, and I am so conscious of that. I really want to go to heaven, and I do not want to disappoint God because I know He has done a lot for me. So, before I commit to any project, I run it through a set of questions. Is it worthwhile? Is it impactful? If a new opportunity can't pass that screen, it doesn't get my yes, regardless of how attractive it looks on paper. For the things I invest my time in, it has to be worthwhile. It has to be powerful. It has to be positive. It has to touch lives. It has to provide solutions to people.
Does that make sense? It makes complete sense, and I think that's what real integration looks like. Faith and work aren't two tracks running parallel, they're one road. Okay, last thing I want to touch on. You've been really candid that building with God at the center doesn't make it easy. What do you do when you're in a hard season and you just can't see the way through?
That's a great question. I think God may allow something to weigh on us because He is trying to teach us, guide us, and prepare us for something bigger. And when we do not learn the lesson, we have to take the class again until we learn it. So my counsel in those moments is stop pushing through blindly and start asking better questions. What are you teaching me at this point? What are you trying to show me? What do you want me to learn from this? Help me to learn, because it's going to be worse if I have to come back to this again. That posture, curious, humble, intent on graduating from the lesson, that's what separates leaders who grow from leaders who cycle through the same problems decade after decade.
That is genuinely one of the most practically useful things I've heard on this show. Before I let you go, is there a verse that ties all of this together for you?
Proverbs 16:3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. Commitment precedes establishment. That's the sequence. And for me, it's not a principle I learned from a book. It's the testimony of how I've actually lived. Once He's on board, it is easy. It feels hard and it looks hard, but it is easy.
Precious, thank you so much. This has been genuinely rich conversation. For everyone listening, the original article is linked in the show notes. Go read it and then come back and listen to this again. I think you'll catch even more. We'll see you next time on Kingdom Factor Collective.